It's episode 185 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I am here. I'm Chris Shriver.
And we do not have a third chair this week, so it's just going to be an intimate little fireside chat.
Yeah.
With me and my old buddy Chris. This week we're going to talk about some PlayStation acquisitions. We're going to talk about console power levels, like the old Dragon Ball. Is your power level higher than mine, Kakarot? And we're going to talk about a little bit about Disgaea 6. Where shall we begin, my friend?
I'm interested in this question that you're posing about the power of a PC and whatever. Okay, I don't know what you're trying to do.
So you made a comment on last week's show that kind of intrigued me, and I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about it. I had said that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This game was like lagging a little bit for me or whatever on PC, but it ran totally fine on console. And you made the comment that, oh, well, the new consoles are more powerful, like way more powerful than your PC. And I was wondering how much more powerful? Like what, how would you measure the difference? Because there's not like some number, because like
there's not some magic like
something, but that's not everything.
Yeah, there's not a magic bullet answer I can give you, but the easiest thing I can explain to you is that if you were to take Doom Eternal right now and run it on your PC with settings that are equivalent to that of the next-gen update on a Series X or a PS5, you have, what, an i5 processor, probably 16 or 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1070.
Should I pull up my specs?
Go ahead and type in system information into Windows.
Okay.
And then it will list all the things. It'll give you your graphics card. It'll give you your CPU, which type.
Yeah, my graphics card is a if I recall correctly, it's a 1070.
Okay.
Which was the second highest one when I built my computer.
Yep.
The 1080 was the most powerful, but I was like, oh, you never buy the strongest one because it's way too expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see. What would it be in hardware resources, components? Like this?
For what? Your CPU?
Or just the system summary?
It's under system information.
Okay, so I got 16 gigs of RAM.
Okay. DDR3 or DDR4?
I think it's DDR.
It should be there. Like it should be. It's literally on that page. Yeah, it's literally on that page.
Okay.
At least I think. I'll look at mine. Hold on.
I'll
show you mine if now everybody can see it.
Yeah, I have an Intel. I have an Intel i7 4790.
What is
core.
The number? It should say i7 dash what?
i7 dash 4790.
Okay. Okay, so to put it into perspective, that is the 4th gen of this line of Intel chips. They are on the 11th gen or 10th gen now. Yeah. So you probably either had that CPU and upgraded your graphics card, or you got it on
this thing all at the same time, I think.
Then you got it discounted because it was older when you bought it.
Maybe. I don't see where it says the type of RAM though.
It may not be on that page. Yeah, actually, I don't see it on mine either. So you would see that under Task Manager. This is great podcast content. Task Manager.
Okay.
Let's see here. You go under Performance. You go into Memory. Oh no! It just tells you the speed of it. All right, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
DDR3.
Oh.
16 gigs of DDR3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they're on DDR4.
Yeah.
So what I'm basically saying is, for the time in which your computer was built, and it's not that it's anything to scoff at now. It's just
it
like
still runs most things on.
That's what I mean.
Like 60 frames.
Yeah, if it runs and you're playing what at 1080p.
Usually I play at the max resolution that it has. Like I
play.
But what? No. 2K or whatever.
What resolution is your monitor?
I think it's 2K.
Okay. So
it's like 3160 by 2190 or
but
something.
you're only aiming for 60 frames a second, right? Like that's like okay. So
I don't know that I notice a difference above that.
Most people don't, and that's that's kind of the where it kind of gets like hairy in terms of like, does it really matter? We were talking this weekend. I was at a whiskey bar where the guy was telling us they're like about all these like whiskey bottles that the one that the guy actually had a sample. It was a Whistle Pig from Vermont or Canada, one of them, and it was
Vermont or Canada,
well, because they like
they
they distill it in one of the places and then they move it to the other and finish the process or like store it there. It's weird, but it was a $1,300 bottle of whiskey. Like, at what point does your palate go, this is $1,300, I can't tell the difference? Computers are the same way. Like, it eventually reaches the point where it's like, if it's good for you, then that's fine. But to your original question, like, your PC, when you built it, was probably like a really high-end PC 5 years ago. Well, so was the PS4 and the Xbox One S at the time or whatever. Now 5 years have gone by, or however long it's been since you built it, and
it's been a long time.
Yeah, like 2 generations have gone by, and that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So
I was just kind of curious because I was thinking to myself, like I've always, and this is like dumb, like why would I keep thinking this? But like when I got it, my mind kind of froze of like, my computer is good. And then it was like, or like, my computer is better. Like, if I want to play things best, I should play it on my computer. And now it definitely seems like if I want to play things the best way, I should probably be playing them on my Xbox.
You should. Well, and it it comes down to, do you want mouse and keyboard? Do you want a 4K display? If you're playing some, like, where it gets weird is like if you're playing something like a Counter-Strike, you can hit, not that you would ever play Counter-Strike on an Xbox, but this is just an example. Counter-Strike may have a frame rate cap on Xbox and PS4 if it ran on those at 30 or 60 FPS at 1080p on a PS4 and Xbox One. If you were to run it on Series X and PS5, hypothetically, if this existed, you could probably hit 120 frames a second at 4K. A lot of games are doing that now. Like, you're seeing a lot of like Ratchet and Clank now has a 120 frames mode in it that runs it. It's either 4K or like a downsampled 4K. But the point I'm making is like, your current PC, if you were to try to play anything at 4K, you would be like, why am I only getting like 35 to 40 frames? Like, I'm not hitting that 60 frame threshold that I'm so used to. And you'll probably start to feel that like midway through this generation.
The pinch.
Yeah, but for the majority of people, like my monitors are 2K and they're fine. I don't have any problem with it. Where I really felt it, and the reason I upgraded, was VR, because they require a lot more power to be able to, display that type of technology or display that type of game, because there's just so much going on.
Frame rates are so important to not let you get sick, and it's so close to your eyes that resolution really matters as well. Yeah. So you have to have both.
Yeah. I mean, the Quest will only go up to, I think it's a 1080. Some flavor of a 1080p.
Oh, is it really?
Display.
But they have to go like way higher. It's like 190 frames or something.
So they have to, So, the Quest 2 will go up to 120 hertz if supported on certain games. Most things run at 90, but the Valve Index will go to 144. That's the max for like a consumer level. This is affordable for most people, and even the Valve Index is expensive. There's one company called Pimax that makes one that's like, it's a 360 field of view. The headset's like this big, like it's massive. It looks like you have ridiculous. Like this like shoebox on your face. It's weird looking, but apparently the field of view is so wide that like it's hard to explain to people who haven't used VR. But like when you're in an Oculus Quest, when you've played it enough, you do have this like tunnel vision a little bit, because like there's this black spot around here. Yeah. That you're able to see.
It doesn't fully occupy your field of vision.
Right. This thing, you don't have that problem. And it goes up to like 5K.
So it really feels like you're in it way more.
Yeah. But that headset costs like, I think it's like $1,500 or something like that for like the starter buy-in. But But yeah, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, so the point I was basically trying to make
is the point that I was trying to figure out is like, I prefer, if I had my druthers and everything came to PC, I would just play it on PC because I've got my laptop that I could play things on. It's like really flexible. I don't have to worry about future proofing if PlayStation decides the next thing isn't backwards compatible at all.
Yeah.
Or, Microsoft decides the same thing. I'm not beholden to that because the way that PCs work, like most things are backwards compatible just kind of anyway.
Well, and that's
as far as games are concerned.
Yeah.
The way that Steam works.
And I actually had this conversation with the buddies I was hanging out with over the weekend where it was basically like, in the next, and I think it's easier for us to have this conversation than it is for like the average consumer. Like for us to be like, well, no, I'll just play everything on PC because like Xbox is putting everything there. PlayStation's now starting to put their first party stuff there. It may come later and you may have to wait, 5+ years for it. But if you're okay with waiting for it, then whatever. But I think most people are still like, well, no.
And the funny thing is that waiting period happens the other way too for indies.
Sure.
Like where it's like, how long did it take Pyre to come to console?
Right.
How long did it take, a lot of these indie games? Some of these indie games will never come to console.
Yeah.
Like, how do I,
like I finally
Doki Doki Literature Club is just now coming to console, and like,
I mean, as out of content, but I mean, we played that game. God, I think I started at IGN like the week that I played that game. Like that's how long ago that was. Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that if you start to go down that rabbit hole, though, they're like, no, but I could also buy a Series S and Game Pass for not that much and be fine. And I think that's what it is for most people. Is it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's funny now being at this point in my life where like I do have to a degree expendable income, and I'm just not playing as many games as I used to be. So it's like, well, I need a computer anyway. And I like to do VR. Like there's more and more, and I like emulation. Like there's all these reasons for me to just keep coming back to this box over everything else.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I was thinking about is like, because PCs are so flexible and I'm always going to need one for some form of work or something, like might as well do that. Whereas like the PlayStation is only good for playing games.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was just, I was just thinking about that and I was like, wow, okay, well if this thing is more powerful and I'm already on there for Game Pass, like maybe I should, just buy whatever thing on Xbox that I want to play or something like that. But
I think you're gonna see
an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see the inverse of that, which I think happens with a lot of people too. It's like, yeah, I used to play a lot of PC games, and then Series X or Series S came out, and it was like, well, I can either spend $800 on a 3080, or I can buy a Series X and be fine for the next 5 years or whatever.
Yeah,
which is a totally like justifiable thing if that's where you want to live.
Yeah, and then you think about, well, it's more expensive to upgrade, but then all the games are like really cheap, and you can get some of them for free and like all that sort of stuff. And it's just like you gotta weigh.
Right, you gotta know what it is, how you're gonna use it.
But I did think that was interesting, and that was just one of those things that like you don't really because I use this PC every day for work all the time, and it plays virtually everything near optimally. I don't really think about the fact that my console might be more powerful than it very often.
Well, you won't have those. You won't have those thoughts until things don't. Like it wasn't until I had like Destiny was really starting to not like lag, but like it wasn't. I was just hitting 60 frames, and it was at 2K, and that was kind of when the light bulb went off, where I was like, my PS5 and my Series X are playing this with HDR on at 4K 60 FPS, and it can go up to 120 if I had the display for it.
Yeah.
What's up with my PC? And then I started playing Half-Life Alyx and all this other stuff where I was like, this isn't as good as it once was, and I'm feeling that now.
And I had the same thing when it was like I actually prefer to play Guilty Gear Strive on the PlayStation as opposed to the PC because I get this weird slowdown sometimes.
Yeah.
Like where it slows. It's like John Woo slow motion for like 5 seconds.
Yep.
In the middle of a match, which is like, it's that way for both people. So it's like kind of.
Well, that's probably but that also sounds like that's like netcode or something. That doesn't sound like it's your.
No, because the netcode is still good. Like it's still responsive during that period. It just goes.
It seems like it's a bug with the game or something. Though it doesn't.
It's really weird.
Yeah, if both people are feeling it,
there's other issues, but that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I was like, well, okay, so they are more powerful. How much more powerful? Like I was just kind of curious.
Oh yeah,
because it's been a while since I've dug into these things.
And really, yeah,
we should not be talking about all this sort of stuff.
No, it comes down to how it feels when you play. If it starts to chug and it doesn't feel great, that's when you can dive into that rabbit hole. Otherwise, just avoid it because you're going to spend money you don't need to spend.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I was thinking is like because I need these consoles for work anyway, and then I was like, wow, do I want to buy both of these consoles for work and then also buy a new graphics card? And I was like, this is
it's also like impossible to get anything right now. Like the fact that I have one is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be able to own this thing right now.
Yeah. So, speaking about Xbox and PlayStation, some news came out after we recorded. Literally, I think the day after.
It was the morning after, yeah.
Like as I was editing the show, but that PlayStation has acquired some new studios. 2 for sure, and 1 for maybe. Is it leaked from them or whatever?
I thought it was 1 for sure and 1 for maybe. Which ones are they?
Well, they acquired Housemarque.
I knew that.
The makers of Returnal. That's for sure.
Which we'll talk about.
They fully announced that, which we'll talk about. They acquired another one, which was, I think, like a Danish or Swedish studio that's a port house.
You're right.
And then they kind of stealth announced
Bluepoint.
And then deleted the acquisition of Bluepoint.
Yeah.
Which was the studio responsible for the new Demon Souls on PS5, which, regardless of how you feel about that game in particular, you cannot deny that it is impressive. It is a feat.
It is an impressive
technological accomplishment.
Yeah, what they managed to do with that game is, not dissimilar to what 343 did with the Master Chief Collection. The first release of it.
Halo 2 and the Master Chief Collection, Halo 2 Anniversary looks fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Like the fact that game uses all the original assets and code, not original assets, but the original code base, and they built upon it, and really just slapped new textures on top of it. I don't agree with the art direction of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, but that's besides the point.
And then when you look at those blur cutscenes, like how can you not love it?
They're ridiculous. Yeah.
Like that iteration of Cortana is like
it's perfect.
Favorite. She's so good.
Yeah.
Like, and whoever was acting, like whoever was doing like the capture for that Cortana is like nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it in a way that I've never seen before.
Yeah. That opening, Halo 2 might have one of the best, like one of the top 3 opening sequences, or at least one of my favorites, like of all time. Just like the Prophets. Why was it not destroyed with the rest of their fleet? They fled as we set fire to the planet. I love that whole opening bit.
Back and forth between Master Chief and what's happening with the Arbiter.
Yeah,
like
Chief's just having another day, and the Arbiter's literally getting branded.
Permission to leave the station. For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Oh, so good.
I love Halo 2, man. That game rips ass.
Intro. Speaking of rips ass,
Housemarque.
I have not yet played Returnal. I am going to finish. I am working on my review of Disgaea 6, which we will talk about later. And I'm then doing a couple of other games, and then I kind of
Returnal's a Black Friday buy. Don't lie to yourself or the audience. It's a Black Friday buy.
I mean, if it is, then that's fine. Then I'll just keep plugging away at Hitman in my spare time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I want to get into it because I like Housemarque. Although I feel like
Returnal
I'm probably more lukewarm on Housemarque than a lot of people because I mostly liked Super Stardust Delta, and the only game of theirs that I really didn't buy. I don't think I got Dead Nation. Didn't really like it. Got Super Stardust Delta. pretty well liked it, but it was on the Vita, and I had stuff I was interested in more. And then Resogun was the one that really got me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get Matterfall or Nex Machina or Returnal. So I feel like I don't have a lot of room to speak to their kind of catalog. I've only played 3 of their games, and 2 of them I liked pretty well. One of them I liked a whole lot, and one of them I didn't really care for. So they don't have like a huge hit record for me. But I did think it was sad when they were like, "Yo, we're not doing arcade stuff anymore." Because even though I wasn't participating in that space, like even though that wasn't the game that I love the most is an arcade throwback, but I didn't engage with like all of the different ones that they had done. But it doesn't take a genius to see that like there's not a whole lot of players in the space, and there's not a whole lot of developers in that arcade space that are of the caliber of Housemarque. So it just kind of bums me out, because it would be like if you found out that nobody was doing tactical RPGs anymore, or just basically a genre was just gonna die.
Yeah,
it's like that's just sad to me. But Returnal is like an interpretation of that in a
again
in kind of a different skin,
But my least favorite thing about that game, and it's what we complain about a lot on this show, is what it asks of you. And I understand like the game is supposed to be difficult and all that, but it's like I get maybe one day every other month where I can play a game for like 4 hours plus at a time. Like it's just not going to happen. And that is
like it respects your time. Or
no,
and too much of you.
And when I was playing it when it came out, and once a week they were releasing patches, and you come back and like at first I was like, well, rest mode, it is what it is. But like no, it's like when you're an hour and a half into a run and you don't have that much time to play every day, and that run is gone because the system updated, it's a kick in the nuts. Like it doesn't. It's not a very good feeling.
I'll probably get it if there's a way to suspend a run that isn't sleep mode. Because I don't know if I talk about this on the show, but like, I don't think I did. I slept my PS5. I was on the arcade super boss for Guilty Gear Strive that you need to get the achievement called Messiah Will Not Come, which is the most difficult trophy to get in that game. And I'm like 87% through the trophy list for Guilty Gear Strive on PS5. This is the hard one. This is the hard one. And I got to it, and I was making good progress, and I was 1 round up, and I only needed to win the next round to be able to get it, and I had to step away, so I slept my PS5, came back the next day, and it had just closed out of the game.
Wow.
And I didn't do anything, and it was like, yo, there's an update, but I hadn't installed it, and all this sort of stuff, and it's just like, that should just not be the way that this goes. There's a lot, not only with games like Returnal and stuff like that, but with the PS5 itself, that really needs to be addressed before I feel good about that whole situation. And there's other considerations to keep in mind, which we'll get into after we talk about these acquisitions. This is probably going to be a fairly PlayStation heavy episode. But yeah, so Housemarque is now a part of PlayStation, which is good for them because it'll probably give them a bit more freedom, and they won't necessarily be as beholden to success. Although we all know that PlayStation has been known to totally dismantle or shut down studios that don't do what they expect.
I can't imagine this changes much of anything. Like realistically, who else have they developed for in the last 10 years? Literally no one.
For themselves, Nex Machina was like their own game that they could just put everywhere because that's on like GOG and stuff like that. So like they've done some stuff for themselves. I think they made.
That's it though, isn't it?
It's been a while since they've done anything else.
Like
they did Outland, which was on Xbox 360.
I'm looking.
That might have been Xbox exclusive actually. But it was like the 360 era, like
Nex Machina, PS4. I'm just going off their site. They may have ported these later. I don't know. Alienation, PS4. Resogun, PS4, PS3, Vita. Outland was Windows. Oh, I remember that game. 360. Yeah, that was on PS3 too. I remember that. Wow, I didn't realize that was them. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. It's supposed to be good too.
Yeah, Super Stardust.
I fucked around with it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like they really
it's
are
mostly PlayStation stuff.
A PlayStation Studio, yeah. Golf Tee It Up on 360. Looks like it used the avatars, maybe. I don't know. Not a whole lot happening there though. Like, this was in the tea leaves. Like, this was supposed to happen. This is not a surprise.
Sure,
Blue Point's another one though. Like,
what I'm saying is they've got, Housemarque isn't a huge studio. They made this shift to create Returnal instead of arcade games because people were not buying those arcade games. So I have an idea that, like, if Returnal didn't succeed, like, that might have been it for them.
Yeah.
And now they don't necessarily have to worry about that. They'll still be beholden to Sony and whether they decide, like, who was it? The developer behind Drive Club of like, that wasn't good enough. You're done. Like that sort of a thing.
That would be, Sony is not short of shitty decisions this generation, at least so far, but that would be really shitty for them to buy a company, and it wouldn't make sense financially, like from a business perspective.
No,
unless it's a huge loss. Like,
I'm just saying, like, in a couple of years, if they release a few other games that are like not great, or whatever, like, there's there were last generation there were a grip of studios that they shut down. Like, what was it, like Sony Liverpool, or like who was it? I'm trying to remember all the teams.
Liverpool did.
Zipper.
Japan Studio technically changed or closed down and reopened with like another name, Asubo or something, I think is what it is now.
Something like that. Yeah. It's under a different label, and like technically, isn't XDev gone as well?
I don't know.
Like the old Sony internal kind of Japan Studio subsidiary or like sister group that handled that handled like internal indie game development or something like that.
They still have a site?
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I recall XDev and Sony, like Japan Studios, being kind of put into a different sausage casing, as you will.
Yeah.
But it seems like all the
oh no, they did
parts are still there.
Destruction All Stars, Sackboy Big Adventure. That looks like they were involved in that.
So they're still doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't the main.
I must be thinking about something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's interesting. The other thing is there was what was the name of the team? I forget what it was. Herman Holst tweeted about this.
He said that they're not in an arms race with Microsoft right now, if that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. No. He posted about this other acquisition.
It's the studio that did the Deus Ex ports for PC, or from PC to console, I think.
Nix's Software, Nixxes.
Yeah.
They
primarily. Go ahead.
Yeah, they helped develop Marvel's Avengers, which is crazy. They also helped port the Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
Like the more recent Crystal Dynamics ones. So that didn't get a lot of fanfare. And I heard that this studio is a port house and wants to stay that way, which is interesting. And one of the things that they've ported things from generation to generation, but they've also ported stuff to PC. So I'm wondering if that will be.
It's probably all they'll do.
Yeah,
it's just ship
PS4
and PS5
because they are experts.
Yeah,
in that much like if you want, like, there's that rumored Metal Gear Solid remake, that Blue Point is working on next after Demon Souls.
I have to imagine, this is kind of off topic, at some point Sony has to realize, like, no one likes PlayStation Now, right? Like, nobody likes that service. I'm like the PlayStation guy at this point on this podcast, and I fucking hate PlayStation Now because it's so bad.
The fact that you're the PlayStation guy on this show is like outrageous to me.
Well, you've been suckling the teat of one Phil Spencer for the last 2 years. I don't know what else to tell you.
But I was right. Like, I was right.
Sure.
Like, I'm just going to lean back and do my best Heath Ledger right here. I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But, like, they that whole service, and I know, like, this is such an obvious statement, but, like, it is amazing to me because I did it this weekend. I did it yesterday where, like, I started up the PS3 and I was like, you know, I'm playing, like, Ratchet and Clank, like, all these, like, old PS3 games. And, like, for hardware that is that old to run so much better than the service that they are like trying to shell out to people and just lie to everyone and be like, this is it, like this is where it's at. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 years PlayStation Now disappears, like the streaming part of it. I think they keep that, maybe they rebrand it and they use it for a PS4 delivery system the way that they have been. Like, I know, like, Red Dead's coming to it and stuff like that. For, like, download, you know, play and everything like that. But at some point, it's like the acquisition of, what was that company? I can't even think of it. Gaikai. No, Gaikai.
Oh, Gaikai. Yeah,
when they bought Gaikai, at some point, they got to be like, all right, we bought this thing, like, 10 years ago. It didn't work then, and it sure as shit doesn't work now. Like, we just gotta let it go.
Yeah.
And you know, because xCloud works so well. Like, and that makes it even worse. Like, you have Stadia and xCloud just doing such a better job.
Well, not only is Game Pass effectively just a way better
service
of what PlayStation Now is trying to do, but then they also have or xCloud, which is the exact same thing as PlayStation Now, and it's also better.
Right.
Like, I mean, they're getting clowned out. That's just the facts. That's just the facts.
How long until you think we hear from them? In terms
we hear from them about getting rid of PlayStation Now?
Not even that. Just like E3 has come and gone, save for EA's
you just mean
conference.
Before we hear
just
anything.
PlayStation in general. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Ratchet and Clank is a phenomenal game. Like, 95 out of 100. Fucking phenomenal game. I
heard some people say that it was not as good as the remake.
Those people are full of shit. That game rules. It is so good. Jess is on her second playthrough right now. She's about to beat it again. Like, that game is so good and it looks incredible. And to go back and try and play the PS3 games now is like nauseating. Because this runs at a full 4K, 60 frames a second with ray tracing.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
So we have 5 months until November,
where Horizon might come out.
Maybe.
You have Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut.
Did they announce dates on that?
August.
Okay. So that's next month. That's like 2 months from now.
They have nothing this month.
1.5 months from now.
Yeah.
Okay. But they don't need anything right now because they just put out Ratchet, so that's fine.
Yeah.
They got time, and there's like other stuff coming out, I presume. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really. You know what? Let's pull up Can you pull up while I'm kind of thinking out loud? Can you pull up the Game Informer release list for the year? I found this to be like a really good resource.
No, I use this all the time.
Let's see. So we've got 5 months until November, which is when things get really heinous, and we get stuff like Black Friday. We get the big holiday push. So you want to have your announcements before then. You probably want to have them at least 1 to 2 months before then. So if we don't hear anything in the next 3 months, which I think is outrageous that we wouldn't, like, you really can't push it much further than that, just logistically, if you're trying to score big before the holidays.
You have,
although they still are going to have the consoles that they're trying to push, and they're still trying to make up manufacturing.
And don't get me wrong,
and all that sort of stuff.
It's not that there isn't anything to play on the PS5. There's a shit ton to play on the PS5 right now.
The craziest thing is I don't feel like they have to show anything this year at all. Actually,
they might not. Yeah, they might not. They might be in that point. I think it's just like I got so used to the tail end of the PS4 where it was like
you were hearing from them all.
Yeah, I mean, you were just hearing from them constantly. I mean, like, look how big my dick is basically what the game was at that point because Microsoft wasn't doing anything then. It was great. You know, now, so we've got, I'm just looking, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut in August, Hades in August, Keeeeeeena, Bridge of Spirits. That's the next big one, is Keeeeeeena.
I mean, I'm interested in it. How many people do you think are interested in it?
Not many. I think the gaming community is interested in it, though.
Okay.
It's a new IP. Like, not that many people are going to be interested in it.
Sure. And when is that's August as well, you said?
That's in August. The Medium comes to PS5.
I mean, that didn't make any waves on Xbox either, so...
No.
I wouldn't expect a lot from that.
Oh, Deathloop is in September. Okay. All right. This isn't that bad.
So August and September, we've got good stuff coming. And they do not need to show, please do not show Deathloop again.
Yeah, no. Back for Blood, which is going to be Game Pass.
I think they could go with showing Keeeeeeena again, but...
I think that'll be the next, dev deep dive.
Is that second party, or is it just console exclusive?
That's second party.
It is second party.
Because that, I've seen that on the Epic Game Store. Like, I know that's coming to PC as well.
But is Sony, putting money on it?
I think this is, an independent developer.
Okay,
let me look.
So it's not second party, it's just a third party exclusive on PlayStation.
PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PC. It's from Ember Lab, who's also publishing it.
Okay, so it's not published by Sony, it's not second party, it's fine. Okay.
Linguini, what are you doing? Hey,
Linguini.
Hey, Linguini, come here. He's climbing my whole closet.
Nice. Okay, so because it's not even second party, I don't imagine PlayStation is going to push Keeeeeeena probably. We'll get into it.
They are not a PlayStation studio. They're third party.
Yeah, but I was saying they're not even publishing it, so it's not even like a Bloodborne.
Oh, sure. So yeah. I see
so they're not going to do a marketing push for this, which means they probably won't show it. I mean, how much have you heard about Keeeeeeena? I haven't heard.
People seemed very excited about it when it was revealed when the show, or when it was shown off when the PlayStation 5 was shown off.
Yes. And how much have we heard about it since then?
We had one other trailer, and that was it. And a dev diary. I think that was it.
Yeah. So I'm not expecting a marketing push for that, which means that is not a pressure for them. They won't show Deathloop again, probably, if they're smart, because they've already shown a lot of it.
Yeah.
Several times. In fact, I think they've shown a little bit too much. What's next? What else? What do we got next?
You have Guardians of the Galaxy, Battlefield, Dark Pictures Anthology, Back for Blood, Far Cry 6. God, I can't wait for that game to come out and disappear.
Far Cry 6?
I'm so tired of hearing that game and covering it. I just don't care. I get it. Giancarlo Esposito's in the game. He looks great. He doesn't look as good as he did in the first trailer. Let's move on. The game doesn't look that good. And it won't be that good. Sorry to tell you. Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out in November.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out for 13 years.
Yes.
It does not come out then.
Final Fantasy, Endwalker. And then Dying Light 2 comes out in December.
So nothing major.
That's what I mean.
Other than Deathloop or something. But that's.
I think if they could get Horizon out.
And we don't know Horizon. We don't know God of War. We don't know.
God of War is not this year.
I keep forgetting how much is just not confirmed and how much is confirmed for later.
Yeah. Well, it also has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. But yeah. So I I'm gonna be honest. I would not be shocked if we just didn't hear anything from PlayStation this year.
I don't know that we will.
And they just quietly rode this one out.
Yeah, and they were just like, well,
just like, everybody loves our stuff. Nobody thinks our shit stinks. It's fine.
I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
There's such a different. It's
such a different beat. You know where we'll hear it?
It's so crazy how different they are now than they were literally like a year and a half to 2 years ago.
You know where we'll hear from them? Gamescom. Because he will absolutely show it. Jack Ryan will, or whatever his name is. That's his name, right? I'm having a brain fart. Jack Ryan? No, that's the
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. What the hell's this guy's name? PlayStation president. I'm having a brain fart.
Isn't Jack Ryan
Jim Ryan? That's the Jack Ryan's the movie action hero. Jim Ryan will absolutely
the Tom Clancy guy.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah. Jim Ryan will absolutely show up at Gamescom.
Played by Alec Baldwin expertly in Hunt for Red October.
Also, Jim from The Office.
In the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also by
Sean Connery?
No. Harrison Ford.
That was it. Harrison Ford.
I keep wanting to say the names of like Schwarzenegger movies. Like I almost said True Lies. I almost said what's the one where he's the freaking president? Air Force One, and then the one where his oh my God, they're on like a train.
Patriot Games.
Patriot Games. Yeah, that one. Where he's running away from
Clear and Present Danger.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. What was he was running away from the dude from Enemy of the State. The guy in the Faraday cage.
Are you talking about freaking The Fugitive? Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about when they're on the train.
The Fugitive?
When he's like
wait, is that The Fugitive?
I think it is. It's with the janitor from Scrubs where he's chasing him or whatever. And he's like,
is that Harrison Ford and
what's the line? It's like, God, this is awful. What's the line where he's like,
it's the worst show we've ever
hold
had.
on,
Josh,
no.
Please come back.
He's like, oh, I didn't do it. I don't care or whatever. Isn't that it?
I don't know.
Or like, what are you going to tell my wife? I don't care.
There was one where Harrison Ford was in it, and it was a Tom Clancy movie, and Gene Hackman was also in it. Right. And I remember
we have the internet, Brian.
Being in it.
Hold on.
But why do that? It's so much more fun to fumble it for our audience.
The Conversation.
The Conversation?
I don't know. Harrison Ford, Gene Hackman movie.
Oh, I thought you were saying the name of the movie was The Conversation.
That's what 1974. That's what came up. Harrison Ford in The Conversation.
Huh. That's weird.
I don't think that's it though. I think you're thinking of The Fugitive, and I think you're thinking of Kimball. And then
maybe
that's a whole thing in Scrubs, where JD is watching The Fugitive, and he's like, you know, the janitor from Scrubs goes Kimball, and he shoots at him, and he like goes in. He's like, "Were you in The Fugitive?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and he walks away. And then like at the end of the episode, he like, "Hey JD," and he like does it to him, and he's like,
weird. That's such a weird meta joke for Scrubs to do.
Yeah, I love that show.
That is very. That's an excellent show.
Yeah.
For being real, it's an excellent show.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah. So they did that and all that sort of stuff. So PlayStation is doing that. But even if you are excited about the acquisitions, it's not all rosy in the PlayStation camp because
indie developers do not like PlayStation right now.
Yeah. Which makes sense because there was a bunch of stuff that came out where basically this indie dev came out on Twitter, and let me go ahead and pull it up. Should I read the whole thing or no?
No.
It's pretty lengthy.
We do not need that.
But basically, I'll give you the truncated version. Effectively, this indie developer was like, all right, I'm gonna burn some bridges because I'm pissed, and is like basically had this extremely thinly veiled critique of PlayStation. Basically, he was like, let's just talk about Platform X. I will not be defining Platform X, but it is the operator of a very successful console that does not have Games Pass. And then later on in like the 5th post, they actually straight up say PS5.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was funny. But like it's obviously PlayStation. But basically they were talking about how they could go. They ask questions to their specific rep and they go months without hearing back, even though their games are like relatively successful or what have you. Basically, if PlayStation doesn't like you, you get no help, no promotions, no marketing whatsoever to even get a spot on the storefront, which we've all talked about at length. The store is terrible on PlayStation, and it's really difficult to find anything without searching for it specifically by name. But if you are an unknown game, how are people going to know what your game is? So when stuff comes out, there's like no news section that you can go to. It's super difficult to find, and you don't get any promotion unless you pay like 25 grand, which for larger studios is nothing and a total drop in the bucket. But for a smaller studio and an indie, that is like a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah. That's like half of someone's salary at a studio that big.
Yeah. And like margins are already really thin and they're banking on, success and that sort of a thing. So basically, also they were saying that you can't discount your game freely. You have to wait for Sony to invite you to sales, and there's no guarantee that they will. And there's no understanding. There's like even nobody answers the questions of like, oh, when will we be invited? Is there something we can do about that? Interestingly enough, they said that both Nintendo and Steam give developers complete control, and that they can discount their games as steeply as they want, as often as they want, and they just do it on their end, which I thought was very interesting. And that they said that Microsoft reps were really, really responsive and were very interested, and they extended offers for, hey, do you want to be a part of this sale that we've got going on? Like, they were very proactive and helpful. And basically, this person was basically saying dealing with PlayStation and Xbox is like night and day, and dealing with Nintendo is also like very good.
What I find interesting about it all is like, sir, are you stepping on the keyboard? In a lot of ways, like indies, not that they built the house of PlayStation by any means, but they were definitely a major part of the PS4 success last generation, and and how much they welcome them with open arms and everything like that. And we're willing.
The generation before that, they were a huge part of Xbox Live and Xbox 360's success.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if it wasn't for Bastion, Fez, Braid, like Super Meat Boy, all of those games, like this Xbox 360 would be significantly less awesome than it was.
Yeah. Sorry, he's just so cute. He's very distracting.
Very true.
He's very cute. Yeah, I mean, what's terrible about it is like you have these people that these companies that I feel like a lot of their success came from PlayStation.
PlayStation basically blew up and forgot where they came from.
Well, that's just it. Like think about if you're like Studio X that opened in 2013 or whatever, or 2012, and you're developing a game for the PS4. And it's multi-platform, right? It doesn't have to be exclusive, but if you had it did a ridiculous amount of sales on the PS4, your studio starts to do really well. You now are becoming that like featured studio that PlayStation's going to be like, this is the indie sale or whatever, and they're going to feature your game. It's like that select, let's say 100 to 500 studios, I'll be generous. If they're always going to be the winners, like it leaves no room for anybody new to come into that space specifically. And you're really just resting on the laurels of like every other platform being like, oh, well, Switch will deal with it. Microsoft will deal with it. Like, it's just such a weird, I don't know. Like, why wouldn't you want to push that and embrace that? But again, I think it comes down to that mentality that I think they have right now, where I think PlayStation thinks that they are the HBO Max of gaming platforms right now.
Yeah. We're going to be your destination for these huge Omega level blockbuster stuff, and like you can get your other stuff somewhere else or whatever.
I mean, I will say this, like playing Ratchet and Clank, like it is clear that as of right now, there is no, and I think this was the same way on the PS4, or at least this is the way I feel about it. There's no other company that is making games like this, like that of this caliber, that games that are this good. I think a lot of it is credit
as like the PlayStation Studios.
Yeah, just like that good of a game.
This is a rich get richer, poor get poorer scenario.
It's exactly what it is.
Zero-sum game over there, and it's like, hey, you're winning. Let's make you winningest.
Yeah,
you know. And that's kind of what it is. They're pouring all of their resources behind these things, which, like, I won't argue. That's one of my big frustration points with PlayStation, is because they're doing all of this stuff. They're doing all of this stuff that I find reprehensible, and all this stuff that I find really aggravating. Like, from day one when I had my PS5, I was like, wow, this just straight up isn't as good as the PS4.
Let me ask you this, though.
Anything other than power.
Let me ask you this. If 3 years from now, we can look at the lineup of games that are exclusive to Xbox/PC and PS5, and let's say that PS5 has 30 titles that were like, holy shit, and Xbox has like 10. Was it worth it? Like, it really comes down to the question, like, this is literally a quality versus quantity question. Because
yes.
if they can come out and be like,
that's my big frustration.
Right. It's like if we put out all these games and they're all bangers and no one else can do it like us. And it really comes down to personal preference. But then you have like you, who it's like, I have Game Pass, we're supporting independent developers, we're getting all these different types of experiences that, you know, that we may not have gotten otherwise and that are being supported and all that. Like there's a valid argument for both, for sure. But
for me, the point of frustration isn't that Sony is making bad games, because they're not. I don't think you can argue that. It's literally it's my own personal preferences. If none of this stuff was happening, my own personal preferences would be, oh, I'm still a PlayStation dude. I'm just gonna play on PlayStation and do that. But there is so much that's just stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. It's like creating a moral imperative with me of like, it's frustrating because I can't make a clean break, because the exclusives are things that really resonate with me, and they always have.
Yeah.
Like in the console space, I have always been Nintendo handheld, Sony console.
Yeah.
Like that has been me. I was a Nintendo kid. And then when the PlayStation came out, my parents got me one when we were in Singapore, and in Asia, it is PlayStation or nothing, basically. Like at least in Southeast Asia, like
that might be changing though.
It might be. If you are not playing on PlayStation or PC, like what are you doing?
Right.
Like that is the wave, and that's kind of where I was. Like, as much as I got into the 360, the exclusives never really spoke to me that much outside of Halo. Like I covered Gears for work a ton, but like it's not close to my heart. I like it, but it's not close to my heart.
Yeah, I think that's the point I'm making. Is like, is it gonna matter? Like, because like for me,
so, but
like,
that's what bugs me.
I know, and because I'm in the same boat. Like, I love everything I love all the moves that Xbox has done up until now at this point.
Yeah.
Like I do. I genuinely do. The only thing that they haven't done is release fucking Banjo-Kazooie 3 and whatever. But like on paper, it all makes sense to my lifestyle. My PC games, you know, can go back and forth and vice versa and whatever. And PlayStation, it's like, no, you're fucking tied to this one box. Like, from an ecosystem perspective, it's the worst. I hate it.
It is the worst, yeah.
And I didn't realize that until Xbox started doing it so well. But at the end of the day, what am I turning on every time I go into that living room? I'm turning on the PS5. Like, I'm playing those games because they're so fucking good. Like, it might not matter. And hold on. And honestly, I think it'll be interesting to see 2 years from now how many people are like really locked into Game Pass, or if they're just like, I had Game Pass, but like I kept trying games and like I just didn't get sucked into anything. I think that's going to happen with a lot of people, where it's just like it becomes the Netflix, that like over stimulation of choice where you're just like, fuck it. Like I'll play whatever the biggest thing is on console X, or go back to buying games or whatever. I'm so interested to see where it all goes.
Maybe. The thing that bothers me is that, like, and I mean, this is the same thing with Facebook. Like, I decommissioned my Facebook account because I found their business practices reprehensible.
Right.
But like, most of the people that I know in life are on Facebook, and they use that to promote and do whatever. And like, you know, when we started doing this show or whatever, or I would be promoting my stories that I would write or different things like this on Facebook back in the day, like, way more people were engaged with it than were on Twitter, because
Facebook is also much different 5 or 10 years ago than it pre-Trump presidency. Like, not to go there, but like, it has changed a lot.
Yeah. So you know, but you know what I mean? So there is that pragmatic, this is everywhere, everybody is doing it. So if I want to be where everyone is,
you're kind of stuck.
Do I need to be like you have to, I mean, at least I feel like I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice of, am I going to let this stuff pass and say, oh, the way that your culture of allowing or enabling or encouraging crunch is fine with me as long as I get the games that I want, or the way that you treat indie developers, the way that you neglect and take advantage of them is fine with me as long as I get the big AAA games that I want. Like, that's the statement that you're making when you do this.
And I guess that's what I'm asking is, like, how much does that matter? Like, does it matter to you enough to be like, I'm selling my PS5 and I'm not giving them a dime, and it doesn't matter what game they put out? Like, does it matter to you that much?
I mean, I wouldn't sell my PS5 because I need it for work.
Well, you don't work at IGN anymore. Say that. Like, that's the question I'm asking. Like, do you care that much about it? Because I bet you the majority of people in the world don't even know that this is going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's it's shocking to me that as many people who do know because they're in the industry don't seem to care.
I don't.
That's the thing. Yeah, and that's just, I just can't.
Because
half of me, I don't know if it's half of me. There is a part of me that wishes I could be like that. That wishes I could just not care and just do the thing.
Yeah.
But then there's other things where it's like, yeah, but you also fucking turned my game off when I was in the middle of it and I slept my console. And also you forced me to download both versions of the game up front. And you also don't let me charge my controllers randomly when I plug in the USB cable to it.
Sure.
And you also have fucking random bullshit things that are a problem. Like, it's not just a moral high ground. It's also, I'm annoyed that they haven't fixed this fucking UI and all this other bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's aggravating.
Yeah.
And you know, but it sucks. It's just like, it's like equal measures. I want to love Xbox with my whole heart, and I kind of don't. And I want Sony to be good with my whole heart, and they don't seem to give a fuck.
And that's where I'm at right now. And it's like, I don't know if it's because, look, we just spent the last year locked in our fucking houses, like, and doing nothing else but playing video games and talking about them. Like, it's very possible that we were just like way too in tune with all of this crap.
That is totally, and that may have happened. That may be possible.
It's very possible. But like, realistically,
it's powerfully possible.
Yeah, but like, it is crazy to me. Like, the things that I feel like I sound like such an asshole. Like, just like one of those like Twitter heads. Like, it seems so obvious the areas that both of these companies need to fix things, And
I feel like Microsoft is working on it.
Microsoft,
the only thing they need.
They're working on it. The problem that I have is, like, I sat through that whole press conference for E3, and, like, there wasn't a single game I was like, hell yeah! Like, that moment just didn't happen. And it hasn't happened for years. Like, for fucking years. That's insane to me. Like, I grew up playing that console, and, like, I don't think it's a fanboy thing. His head's right there. Like, I don't know what it's going to take for me to like this console. Like, I don't know what game needs to come out. Just in general. Like, I turn on the Series X. I've got 500 fucking games at my disposal. And I look at it and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't need any of it. Instead, I go onto the PS5 and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll play Uncharted again. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why? Like, what is it going to take? They're making all the right moves, and I'm just like, it's just not for me. Like, I don't understand. Like, what is wrong with me that it comes down to that?
So which one of us do you think is the more broken? Like me, who's unwilling, who's unable to enjoy something if he knows that someone's been abused to make it for him.
Yeah.
Or you, the person who can't enjoy something when somebody's trying their best.
Queenie. Hey.
But anyway, yeah, I don't want to. Oh, jeez, I can't believe this has been an hour already.
If we get on the, that's the problem though. We get on this train, that's it. Like, there's no coming back.
It's because for Xbox, it's like we're on a pirate ship and somebody keeps loading gunpowder into the cannon, and they keep loading it, and they keep loading it, and you're like, when is it going to go off? When are we going to actually shoot this thing? And they're just still loading the powder.
Just quit rubbing me on the outside of my pants and just take them off already. That's where we're at. Like, let's stop with the dry humping and let's just get down to business. That's where we're at with Xbox.
Wow.
That's where I'm at with Xbox, at least.
You just want to bone down.
Yeah, I just want to get it done. Let's just get it over with.
So we can sleep.
Yeah, I just want to go to bed. I have work in the morning.
Oh, Jesus.
Hold on. He's in the closet. You can continue, but
I don't really have a lot else to say. I feel like we're just like running this one. I would apologize, listeners, but these are the things that plague my mind when I'm thinking about all these things. It's like with the Switch. I've been playing this game that I'm going to talk to you guys about in a moment, and it doesn't run that well on Switch, and I'm just like, why can't you just give me the Switch Pro so that this thing runs? I was just apologizing to our listeners for being a broken record, but these are the things that we think about, and these are the things that we want to address. We just want there to be a great environment for everybody, and it's not a great industry. It's not a great medium. Much like Chris mentioned the Trump presidency. It's not a great country unless it's great for everyone.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Before we get into the game you're about to talk about.
Sure.
Do you find yourself becoming completely and utterly exhausted by the gaming industry in general lately? Just completely debilitated by it?
No. I don't have anything. I find myself mildly indifferent just because, like you were talking about with the Xbox showcase, there isn't really anything imminently coming out that grabs me. Like, I'm kind of in a whole, like, the two games that I'm like, I know I will like, which are Halo and God of War. We don't have release dates or windows for them.
Right.
And Horizon Forbidden West, I'm like, fingers crossed they'll fix the problems that I had with the first game, but who knows? And I don't know that I can trust reviewers because none of the people who were who had my same criticisms of the first game will probably review it. It'll probably just be the people who really loved the last one, and they'll probably not have any problems with this either.
Which game?
Horizon.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I thought the combat was weak. I liked everything else, but I thought the combat was...
No, I don't think that's an uncommon opinion on that game. People are oddly obsessed with that game.
People gave it like 9s and 10s.
I know. People were oddly obsessed with that game. Like, that game's a solid 8. Like, if you gave that game an 8, I don't think it's being generous, but I think that's like the most agreeable score you could give it.
Yeah.
The combat's real shitty.
It's too good to be a 7, but I don't think it's quite good enough to be an 8. Maybe maybe. Sorry. An 8 is probably the highest I would give it.
Oh my god.
That would probably be one of those where like I would want to get real 100-point scale nitty-gritty and give it like a 7.9 or something like that. But yeah, listeners, if you have thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn, why don't you hit me up on Twitter at Ribnax, RIBNAX, while Chris is away solving a crazy cat problem. Hey! Also, how are you guys doing out there? You staying hydrated, moisturized, living your best life? Are you thriving? I was just talking to our whisperers. Our whisperers?
Whisperers.
I was not talking to our whisperers. And you can't prove that I was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was just talking to our listeners. Asking them if they were staying moisturized and hydrated and thriving. So
it is summer.
It is summer. And it's a hot one. As Rob Thomas said in his famous song with Carlos Santana, it is a hot one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, hey, near me, the ocean's on fire.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We're going to die in our lifetime, aren't we? Like, not by natural causes. I'm
going to be real with you. I lay awake most nights thinking about that.
Yeah. Oh.
It really sucks. It really sucks. But let's talk about something that only kind of sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about Disgaea 6. So the wonderful people over at NIS America sent me over a review key. I'm playing on ye old Switch. And let me tell you, I wish I had a Switch Pro because this game has do not exit and update right now. Oh my god. I would throw this system against the wall. I wouldn't really do that, listeners. Don't overreact. Come on.
Why?
But this game actually has 3... If you're ready to get an eyeful.
Wow.
This game has 3 settings in the settings, performance settings. You can either do it performance mode, graphics mode, or balanced, which
on
is
a
weird
Switch
in
game?
a Switch game. Yep.
I've never seen that.
And let me tell you, if you want it to run at a smooth frame rate, you're going to need to use those settings. And you're probably only going to be able to handle balanced without the game looking like pretty much garbage on the performance mode.
That alone to me tells me that the Switch Pro would have, in a non-COVID world, would have been out by now.
One would think.
There's no other reason for that.
I can't think of one other than the fact that like other Disgaea games came to PlayStation and Switch and PC, and I can definitely see it being like.
If it was on PlayStation, then. And
this is also the first Disgaea game that doesn't have sprites, but actually has 3D character models for each character.
All right.
On there, so there's lots more polygons.
Yeah.
Which let me just go down the pros. The new graphical style and the switch to 3D models looks fucking great. It looks really good and is definitely the right move. I was annoyed with previous games, like, because it was just very obvious that, like, hey, they could They could do this, but like look up screenshots of Disgaea 5 and Disgaea 6 next to each other. Like, look at them. Disgaea 5. Image. Gameplay. Yeah, they look good. They look good. They're drawn really well. They look really sharp and stuff. But these new models in 3D do look really good. And because of that, the new like weapon cutscenes and stuff like that look really good as well. They've streamlined the game mechanically. So just to be absolutely clear, I was hoping to have this game done so I could give you my full review this week. That's gonna have to wait for next week. But I am mostly done. I'm like 4/5 of the way through the game. But yeah. I think that what's up?
If you're interested in picking up any of these or checking them out, they're all on sale on Steam right now.
Oh, Disgaea?
Yeah. You can get 1 through 5 for $40.
All total?
Yep.
Oh, cool. So just a quick aside. My favorites and the ones that I think are the best are Disgaea 1 and Disgaea 4. I did not play Disgaea D2. What is it called? It's not Disgaea 2 because I've played every numbered entry in the series, but there is one aside that has Laharl as he gets like shapeshifted into a woman and it introduces like he has a younger sister or something.
Was 3 a PlayStation exclusive?
PS3.
Yeah. Okay. It's not on PC.
It's Disgaea 3 Absence of Justice, I think. There's Disgaea 1 Hour of Darkness, which was a PS2 game. But then they've since released Disgaea 1 Complete, which I actually reviewed on Switch, and is the best way to experience that. So if you're going to get a Disgaea 1 game, like a version of that, which many people hold up still to this day as the best Disgaea game, at least as far as a story is concerned, which I would agree with, then get Disgaea 1 Complete. I also think that Disgaea 4 has probably the next best story and the next best suite of characters. I really like the characters from Disgaea 4. The main character is a vampire called Valvatores, which is a dumb name, but him and the angel thief and his werewolf companion and Emizel, who is the incarnation of death, like there's lots of cool characters in it. They just kept getting more mechanically advanced and complex as they went on. So I think that if you want something that is like the pinnacle of like the expansive complexity of mechanics and like each one of these games is a forever game. You could literally play them forever because of a thing called the item world where you can like literally every item that you acquire, and that like JRPG style, you get tons of stuff that's just vendor trash, but each one of those is its own dungeon that is randomly generated and has as many floors as is dictated by the quality of the item. Oh, so if there's a regular item, like just a common quality item, it has like 30 floors in it.
Do they all have that? Like yes. Every Disgaea game has that? Holy
every
shit.
Every Disgaea game is potentially a forever game.
Wow.
And because your characters can reincarnate endlessly until you like max out their stats, which takes a ridiculous amount of time, especially if you don't optimize. These games are like destinations.
Yeah.
Which is one of the best things about them. Like they are single player forever games. Which like how many of those are there? How many games are there that you could literally play endlessly finding new stuff like procedurally generated like that?
Not much.
Yeah, not many. Most of the games that are intended to basically last you forever are multiplayer. And then the servers can go down and then you don't have anything. But yeah, but these games are very, very fun. You can do a lot of weird stuff in them. They are kind of the go-to franchise for me as somebody who loves Final Fantasy Tactics when Square decides that they don't want us to have any more Final Fantasy Tactics games. It's not the same as Final Fantasy Tactics. It is not as serious. It is not as difficult. It's not as difficult, but there's like way like the damage ceiling is just fucking outrageous. But yeah, so with this, like Guilty Gear Strive, which we talked about recently, in this iteration in Disgaea 6, which I think is the subtitle is Defiance of Destiny. They've streamlined things mechanically. So like previously, as you used a weapon more, you would level up your skill level with that weapon. You would gain new weapon abilities. Like when you got to level 1 with the sword, you would get Blade Rush, which was like a slashing, advancing attack that would move you through 3 enemies in a row, and then you would land on the tile after that and then flip back to your position. So like you had to make sure that all of those were where you wanted them to be before you initiated that attack. And then as you leveled up and you got to like fire or like swords level 5, you would get like a single targeting move that did more damage and had like a wind element, and all this sort of stuff. There's tons of customization. In this game, they removed weapon skills, so it seems like there's less going on. And because they've expanded the stat ceiling and made the cap go from level 9,999 to I think like 9,999,999. But it doesn't feel like there's really it doesn't feel like the scale was just expanded upward. It feels like there was like number inflation that occurred.
Right.
So like instead of when you start out the game, instead of your sword having like 10 attack power and your attacks doing like 5 damage or 2 damage on like a really tough opponent, you do like 5,000 damage starting out. So it's like it just seems like it's kind of been
like arbitrary
in a way. Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's really a reason for it, at least yet, which is kind of obnoxious. Also, it seems like because there are no weapon abilities when you reincarnate your generic characters. So there are unique characters, which are like your story characters, and then there are generic characters. So like you can make a warrior and you can name it whatever you want.
Right.
And then you can have it wield whatever weapon you want and whatever. Like you can just kind of like make your own generic character. Or there's unique characters that always have like the same abilities. In previous games, you could have like a warrior, have it wield an axe, level it up till you get all the axe abilities, reincarnate it as a witch, and then you've got a witch that has all these axe abilities but can also use magic, and then you could just kind of reincarnate through and just get everything.
Yeah.
In this game, it doesn't seem like you can do that because the weapon abilities don't exist. You just have the class abilities that you have whenever you have them, which leads me to believe that like there's not much reason to use generic characters anymore. I'm not sure. Maybe something will open up later, but that's just it feels like with the simplification of these systems, they've made it more beginner friendly in some areas and kind of more obtuse in other areas. And it seems like they've kind of taken away some of the customization and things like that. I'll definitely keep you appraised as like more stuff, because like these are games that are very, very deep and very thick and rich. So I'm sure more stuff will be coming out. And I'll dig around and try to like find out more. But one thing that is interesting is they got rid of like they distilled a lot of stuff that was in previously separate systems and put it in one place. So like, for example, when you level up and when you reincarnate, you create this thing called karma. And you can use that karma when you reincarnate to be like, I want to increase my attack by 10% in addition to my stats or whatever. And you can just be like, I want to allocate my karma into these different areas. Oh, I want to be able to move way further. Like I want to be able to move like 3 more tiles or something than I can just in my base level now. Like
right.
You can do that. You can focus on that. And you don't have to go to a separate place like the character world in Disgaea 5 and like descend into your character in these random dungeons to do that. You can just do it when you reincarnate. So like that is simplified. As you level up, there is a percentage of the experience that you earn in each level that will go to a place called the juice bar. And you can you'll get like stat juice basically, and then you'll get experience and mana, and you can just basically decide from this pooling bank of stats that you have. Oh, I want to pour those into a certain character. Oh, this character, I want to reincarnate them at the highest level, but I'm short a little bit of mana. Let me pull some from the juice bar, and then I'll have enough without having to go grind some more. So stuff like that is really, really nice and makes it less tedious than it has been previously. Also, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy XII, they added basically a really granular gambit system in this game and automated battles. So if you're the type of person who wants to play the game and wants to get to a level where you can tackle end game stuff, but you find grinding tedious, you can automate the grinding. Like you can just be like, I want to go to this level. I'm going to start this level. I'm going to set up my, I think it's called like demonic intelligence, to have my healers automatically heal people who are low on health. My strongest attackers just punch people, and somebody who I want to level up, but I don't want to get in danger, I'll just have them defend at the back of the map. You can do that. And you can have it on auto battle and auto repeat. So as soon as it completes the level, it'll just do it again. And you can literally leave your switch on all night and level up like madness.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I've done that a little bit, yeah. Just I wanted to see how it works.
Does it like... Do they give it to you right on the offset? Like, could this game just like play itself?
You have it from the jump.
Crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, there's not like you have to. I think you have to get to like the end of the first chapter, or the end of the second chapter, till they give you like the tutorial, and that might be where it unlocks. But like, I literally got to it by the end of the demo.
Okay.
So, and then I was just.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like, all right, when you beat the main story, you can grind and play this like end game content or something like that. That's crazy.
You can literally do it to even help you get through stuff in the main story. And there's a lot of customization options. There's a thing called the cheat shop where you can just divvy up what percentage of experience, mana, hell, which is the currency, or like weapon class, skill levels, class mastery, all of this sort of stuff you do. You can take percentages away from one and put it into the other. So you can be like, oh, I only want 50% in all these different resources, but I want 300% experience. You can just do it.
That's
like
awesome.
It's really easy. And if you want to adjust that on the fly, if you want to create, there's like 10 different slots for auto battling teams. So you can specifically have, oh, I want to have this team done for this thing. I want to have all my story characters in this one squad, and then select them, and then have only them auto battle up. And then you pop out, and then you're like, okay, I want to designate this one, and this is my, like, specifically my thief, and, you know, whatever. Like, you can be really granular, and it gives you a lot of control, which takes so much of the tedium out. And that system, I think, is kind of an unqualified success. I have seen some people write about, like, oh, they took the fun out of it, or, like, they made it so that I have to use this, or they made it so that, you know, the inclusion of this basically takes away, you know, any incentive to like do anything optimally or whatever. And it's like, well, it's much like the argument for difficulty settings in games. It's like, it's there if you want it. Like,
yeah, you don't have to use it. Right.
If you want to play all of these turn by turn,
by all means, like, you're welcome to
do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's also a whole menu like in the settings where you can just skip all the animations. Like, if you don't want it to go into these crazy, like, basically, like, in Final Fantasy, when you do Knights of the Round, there's, like...
And it takes 5 minutes to go through.
It takes 5 minutes. You can literally just say skip, and then it'll just pop up with the name, Knights of the Round, and then the person will punch, and then it just does it. It just does the damage that it would have done.
Yeah.
So, there's all...
No, I respect the hell out of that. Like...
You can turn it off for enemies and for you, or one and not the other.
Yeah.
You can make it so that they still run, but you can fast forward them. There's so much that you can do with that, which I think is great.
Very cool.
I will say, when I have it in docked mode, which is where I've been playing it, probably half the time. Just because I like being able to have a bigger screen to be able to see things on, especially when I like zoom out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in that game.
Yeah. It kind of chugs a little bit in graphics mode, which is unfortunate. I will say it looks good in graphics mode. It just is, it's not locked at 30. I don't think it's just not, it's not great. Balanced is still pretty good. It looks pretty good. And then in performance mode, it does not look good. But I I wonder if that has to do with the Switch Pro, or if that has to do with just what they built into the game when it comes to other places.
Yeah, I mean, if
it might only come to other platforms as Disgaea 6 Complete, though.
Because it's only on Switch right now, or is it on PC? Oh wow,
it's a Switch exclusive.
Okay,
for right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, then that makes it even
Disgaea has
weirder.
Been predominantly I mean, they've played with like most Japanese developers, they've kind of played around with both Nintendo and PlayStation.
Yeah.
The major iterations have always been PlayStation exclusive, but there was a Disgaea 1 remake on DS. There were, I think, Disgaea 3 eventually came to Vita. I think Disgaea 4 might have also. And then Disgaea 2 was like on PSP. I think there was a different version there.
Yeah, my guess is this was this would have been a Switch Pro launch day exclusive, and like meant for that. And then that whole toggle would have been like, oh yeah, you can even toggle. Like it would have been like a feature. And they're just like, it's there, but we're not taking it out. Like there's no reason for it to be in a standard Switch. That's interesting.
I mean, it's useful. But like,
well, I would think the performance mode is the most useful. Like, given that, like, you know, if you wanted to run that smooth,
switching between performance and balance. On the interesting thing is, I actually think that might have just been a docked versus handheld consideration.
It could have been. That's a very good point.
Because on docked, it's really difficult to look at anything that's not graphics or balanced. Whereas on the Switch, the graphical differences don't mean that much, so you could definitely do balanced or performance.
Sure.
Although I still kind of, I basically tend towards balance, the balanced setting.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't look that bad, it doesn't run that bad, it runs mostly smoothly, and this is not a Twitch shooter like this. It doesn't need to particularly run
like amazingly. Yeah.
But I still would have loved to have seen it really run well and look awesome. Like
sure.
I'm excited to see it if it comes to PS5 or PC. I'm excited to see what it looks like because I mean it looks good, and I would love to see this running at like a very smooth, 60 frames.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. As much as I kind of feel mixed on the stuff that they removed, because like one or two of the systems that they removed were things that I liked. I think that overall it's a win.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it adds enough new things that are just straight up quality of life improvements in a huge way, like auto battling and auto repeat and stuff like that. That like it's kind of hard for me to not recommend it right now. I'm not done with the story yet. I was kind of underwhelmed with the writing. It seems more tropey, and like the characters have less personality that isn't just this person has one interest, so let's make them a caricature of that one interest. Like it seems even more that way than previous games. Maybe I think that this is something that maybe 5 and 6 have in common, where the characters are more tropey than I think they need to be. I think that the characters in the previous games had a bit more
depth,
not nuance, but like they felt more natural.
Yeah.
And I did really like the twist in 5. I think most of these games have a twist. 1 definitely has a twist. 2 has a twist. 4 has a twist. I don't remember the twist in 3. 5 has a twist. I think they all have twists. But I just got to the one in 6 earlier today, but I haven't been able to quite get to the end. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on what this twist means with how everybody's going about it. I'm not going to spoil it now because, you guys might want to play it because it's good. But this is definitely one of those games where I actually went back to Disgaea 5 complete after my review and was like, maybe I'll play more of this. Maybe I'll fart around with this. And I just couldn't because I'd already beaten it twice.
Yeah.
And I just was really waiting. It was one of those scenarios where it was like, I don't really want to play Halo 1 or the Master Chief Collection again. I just want Halo Infinite to come out. And I was in kind of the same situation with Disgaea 6. And I'm glad that it's out. I like it. And I'm interested to see if it will hold my attention for for as long as the previous ones did. Like I played Disgaea 5 and Disgaea 4 for a very long time.
Yeah.
After I beat them. I'm ready for this one to hold on to my attention afterwards. We'll see. It might just be my go-to Switch game. And it might actually be a blessing that it's not on something else. Because then, with this, I can just whip it out and, unsleep my Switch whenever. And like Guilty Gear's up, so like I'm not necessarily practicing my combos in Dragon Ball on my Switch. So like there is kind of a vacuum for me there. And this is one of those games that you can just pick up and play or play for an extended period of time. It kind of scales to what you want from it. So I'm definitely ready for it to like keep a hold on me into the future. And I'm hopeful that it will do so, but that's kind of my review in progress. My like 75 to 85% complete review of Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny. So if you've been waiting for a Disgaea, it's more Disgaea, so get it. If you're looking for a place to jump in, but maybe look up like some of those lists or posts of like things I wish I knew before I started Disgaea 6 or something. Like maybe get some tips. It explains stuff, but I'm not sure that if you're not, I don't know. I'm not sure if the tutorials are enough for somebody who's not already an initiate in these systems.
Yeah.
But if any of our listeners do check that out, feel free to hit me up on Twitter with questions. I'm happy to answer them. I've been spending a lot of time with this game. I think I'm like 23 or 24 hours in.
Nice.
Which is supposed to be about how long it is, but I haven't really been doing extra stuff, so I'm not sure. That might have just been me grinding a little bit because I was trying to explore the upper limits. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I think about that.
Good deal, man.
Shall we wrap, or do you got something else?
I have two quick things that I want to mention. One, there's a sale on the first 4 Splinter Cell games right now on Xbox. If you've ever heard me talk about my love of the original Xbox, you've heard me talk about Splinter Cell. So again, not an ad. I just really love these games. Splinter Cell.
If we were paid by Splinter Cell, you would fucking know it, listener.
Yeah.
That'd be a big deal.
Actually, I'm sorry. Chaos Theory is not on sale. So the original Pandora is on sale, and Pandora Tomorrow are $4.49. That's for the Xbox versions. They upscale $4.49. I will say the first Splinter Cell has not aged well.
I was just gonna ask about this.
It's pretty dated. Pandora Tomorrow, I imagine, is probably better. I did play some of Chaos Theory. I mean, it's an older game, but like it holds up surprisingly. It looks pretty damn good. Okay. Double Agent for $360 is also on sale. That is $5.99. That game is excellent. I remember the graphics being very good for the time. I haven't dipped into that, on Series X or anything, so I can't speak to that. But I loved that game. It was very, had very good tactical espionage and very good co-op in it. I've
been pretty disappointed with my inability to play original Xbox titles when they are brought forward, or Xbox 360 titles, because I think I tried Star Wars Republic Commando, and I got like 10 minutes in, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. I mean, I'm finding that happening more and more as we spend more time with these consoles, like the new consoles.
Things just look so freaking good.
Yeah, like it's really hard to go back to a PS3 Ratchet and Clank game after you play Rift Apart. That game looks incredible. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you were on the fence about Skyward Sword, and you played it on Wii, I urge you to look at Nintendo released a trailer for it's just about the quality of life, the things that they're improving for Skyward Sword HD on the Switch. They're changing how Fi works, or Fi, whatever that character's name is, I forget.
I can't help you. I didn't play it.
It's basically like the Navi of this game.
Okay.
And yeah, it looks like they've changed like how the dowsing system works if you need to use it. They've added tips because that game gets like really obtuse at times.
Dude, is this going to be like Wind Waker HD where it's just like that game but way better?
Yeah, like watch the trailer. Like it's only like a minute and a half long, but the things that they've added.
Would it mean anything to me if I didn't play the original?
I mean, it would just be a much more enjoyable game, I think.
Should I just play it? Like, is it even worth it for me to watch this trailer?
You should watch the trailer. I mean, it's fucking Zelda. Like, I don't know. It's probably going to be good. Like, Skyward Sword was good, but but it always had that asterisk with it. Like, it was always it's Skyward Sword, but like there are these things in it that we hate, and they're fixing a lot of that, which is cool. So yeah, if you're on the fence about it, definitely check that out because it seems like they're going to just improve that experience overall. It got me a lot more excited about it because I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick it up, but like, is it really going to keep my attention?
Yeah.
And that got me more like, okay, I could see myself actually, not hating it this time around. Every time I've tried to play it, I get to like the second dungeon and then I just totally just dip out.
I'm really interested to play it. Like I wanted to, but I didn't have. I had a Wii, but I sold it because I got just infuriated with how they crammed motion controls down my throat the whole time. So.
Yeah. No, they're adding button controls, and one of the things that game did was like if you picked up a red rupee or something, like every time you picked it up, it would be like, you picked up a red rupee. Congratulations. It's worth 5. Like it explained things. It was so obtuse. Like it just explained things over and over and over again. You get it the first time, and that's it in this new one. So like they fixed that. Which like
it seems like a massive oversight. It's original.
Yeah, like it was a really big deal.
But I guess it was on Wii, so you couldn't really patch things, right?
No, I mean you could have, but like they didn't. Like they just didn't change that. It just that game is how it shipped today. Like
that's nuts.
Yeah, so definitely check that out.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Cool. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for episode 185. I believe we have one more key for Dark Deity, the PC Steam strategy RPG that I talked about a few episodes ago. We've got one key for that and one key for the soundtrack for that left. If you would like, you can follow us and review our show on Apple Podcasts and tweet us a picture of that review or send it to me via DMs, and you'll be entered to win. We've had 4 fantastic people already review the show, and it's really awesome to hear from you guys because, as I told one of the reviewers, our audience is extremely quiet.
Yes, they are. We have Harry, who we love very much, and that's who we hear from typically.
And I know that there are some of you who are out there who have listened to this show, perhaps since the beginning, perhaps for several years now, and are just enjoying it and listening and bouncing and never saying anything anywhere. And you know what? We appreciate you.
Yeah.
You are who we do this for.
It's also kind of therapy for me at least. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, it's a way to get the demons out.
Yeah. Just make.
Plus, I mean, look at this beautiful boy's face. How could I not look at that? Oh my god. But it's an excuse for me to get together with my friends and chat, which is always nice. We met low those many years ago, and it's just been great ever since. Thanks for being along for the ride, buddy.
You're welcome.
Fucking asshole. Anyway, you can watch us record the show live at twitch.tv/platformerspod. You can also catch us on Twitter and Instagram, and I think everywhere else at PlatformersPod as well. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ribnax. And if you want to check out some of the stuff that I've been working on, I recently joined a band called Long Live the Lights. Our single, which we released, which was written and recorded before I joined the band, so that is not me on the drums. That is my buddy Kenny, who did the drums. But there is a new song. You can follow Long Live the Lights on Spotify, and the new song is called Sirens, and a lot of people like it. And I am one of those people. It is so catchy. I love it. But we also went into the studio yesterday and worked on writing some new stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I wrote a chorus and recorded my own vocals for a chorus. And it's a song that is going to be at our upcoming show, and it is called Cry Wolf. And I'm so excited about it because it's been an exceptionally long time since I have written or sang on any songs. And it's shaping up to be a good one. So I can't wait to show you guys some more. What were you holding your phone up for?
Well, I'm about to break the mood in a bad way. Richard Donner, director of Superman, Lethal Weapon, and The Goonies, has died at 91 years old.
Yeah, you really did. You really did just take the
I
take
just
the wind right
took
out.
the wind right out of you there. But there's some breaking news for you. That's very unfortunate.
He made some really good Superman movies.
Yes, he did.
And some not as good Superman movies.
What do you mean? When he gets the cellophane S and he throws them? Yeah.
He just throws it off.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, just kind of slowed him down.
The lady that turns into a robot that's going to kill all of humanity.
Yeah,
and he
come on.
teams up with a stand-up comedian to try to stop them.
Classic.
It's a little ridiculous.
Ah.
It's a little ridiculous. But, whatever. But yeah, so I'm really, really excited. You can check out Long Live the Lights at Long Live the Lights or Long Live the Lights Band on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, like a bunch of stuff. And definitely check out the song and hit me up at Ribnax on Twitter to tell me what you think about it, because it's very, very cool to be involved with like talented musicians like this. Like this is probably the best group of people that I've ever worked with. And they're also really excited to have me on board too, which is very validating. Like it's been a long time since I've done anything creative like this. And there were a lot of red flags on me. Like I haven't owned a drum set for a while. I hadn't really played this style of music in like a number of years, and they took a shot on me, and they really, really liked what I brought to the table when I auditioned. And now that I literally auditioned, hung out in the practice space for like an hour and came up with like a couple of vocal harmonies just for fun. And then we immediately went into the studio to write something, and I wrote a chorus that everybody likes, and on a song that is good enough that it's actually going to be at our first major show. So it's like, it's going about as well as it could for me with that. So I'm really, really excited. Everybody's been very positive about that. So go check out the music and let me know what you think. And I'm excited to share more when it's ready. So
proud of you. So proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Just so proud of little Brian over here.
Thanks, man.
So proud.
So where can people find you?
I have fucking nothing going on. You can find me on Twitter at Shrives93. I'm planning a wedding. That's what I have going on.
Oh, heck yeah.
I play Mario Golf.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you this week. So from everybody here at the Platformers, we hope that you have a wonderful, glorious, magnificent week. And stay safe out there, all of you. Because until next time, we are out.
Bye-bye.